You are now listening to the Jetlife Uncovered, an insightful podcast that explores the minds of those who have conquered to live a meaningful life in the air and on the ground. Whether you're a pilot, frequent flyer, or celebrity, we uncover the deep truths of what it's like to live life in and out of the jet. I'm your host, Fernando Contreras, airline pilot, personal trainer, and intervention coach. You're about to take off into a conversation with individuals in which we get to know their intersection between living a purposeful life and reaching peak performance. The Jetlife Uncovered podcast starts now.
Thank you so much for joining me, man.
Thank you for coming down to the booth and checking us out.
Dude, I got to tell you how I came across this booth. I was walking across the booths over there. I look over and I see the sign, "Fix Your Sit."
It's a catchy little line.
I need to go over there because I have back problems, man. I shared with you that I am an aviation professional in the flight deck, and we sit a lot for such a long period of time.
Yeah.
Depending on the aircraft model that we're on, sometimes it's not the best for the sitting. And I kind of shared with you what availability we have to kind of move lumbar support or, thigh support and everything like that. But what I learned with you today absolutely blew my mind. I want to know, Anthros, why did it start? How did you start it? And what's its mission?
Yeah. So Anthros kind of started way before the office chair. Anthros's roots are deep in the wheelchair seating arena. A lot of the Anthros team, about half of us, came from the wheelchair industry, wheelchair seating specifically.
Wow.
We used to design seating and positioning equipment for wheelchair users, whether it was manual or power wheelchairs. And if you think about a wheelchair user, they're professional sitters. There's no alternative to sitting, and how long they're going to be on a chair is there's no limit. There are some people, even though you're not supposed to, that will sleep in their chair as well. Because transferring out of their chair is hard, or they can't do it, or they don't have a caregiver to help them transfer. So it might just be easier to sleep in the chair. So not saying that we recommend that, but I mean,
it gets to that level.
Wheelchair users are heavy sitters. So how do you make somebody that has to sit 10, 12, 18 hours without getting up, without using a standing desk, without moving around, that's still a human being? They don't have green blood. They're the same as you and I, and they have to sit for 10 to 18 hours a day. Yeah. That is a very serious craft.
Right.
And if they're not on the right equipment and they do start sitting that long on a not a high performing cushion or a bad back, the pain, you could say, well, they don't feel anything. Maybe they're paralyzed from the waist down and they can't feel their cushion. How do they know if it's good? Well, pain will present in a different way. They might sweat. They might get nauseous. The body will tell them that there's a problem, and you've got to listen to it. So it just presents differently. So sitting's hard for wheelchair users, and we got really serious of it going down to the cellular level, oxygen, blood flow.
Wow.
You name it. It's a pretty nerdy but serious craft.
It must come down to every single little aspect of a person's sitting posture. Because as you mentioned, 16, 18 hours, sometimes even sleeping, as it's not recommended, but that's a really long time. Me as a personal trainer and a pilot, I'm always saying, don't sit for that long. As long as you finish, as soon as you're done flying, get up and move, right? But what is the mission of Anthros? What is the true purpose behind this wonderful company?
So Anthros was started again because of the wheelchair industry. We would develop new seating products, a new cushion or a new back, and part of that routine was to show it to the top rehab hospitals, to the number one spinal cord injury doctors in the world, show it to the VA hospital system, show it to the Chicago Rehab Institute. We had to go show it around town and get people to try it and then want to prescribe it. And the people that are trying it were able-bodied people. They were PTs, they're OTs, they're wound care doctors, they're spinal cord injury docs, and they're sitting down on this new cushion or back and asking you all these technical questions about what size does it come in, what's the reimbursement for it, how's it going to work for this type of patient?
Yeah.
And after you get through all those technical formalities, the in-service was always ending the same way. Man, I love this cushion. I wish my office chair felt this good.
I wish airplane seats felt this good.
Yeah, for like a decade. And it was just kind of like subliminal programming going,
Yeah.
We need to make an office chair. We need to help able-bodied people. They're in pain. They're in severe pain.
Yeah. By the way, if you hear some afterburner action, we're in the middle of the air show now, so we'll be able to work around it. And also, side note, these are not the chairs. We're constantly fixing ourselves in this chair, but these are not it. Wait until you see the video. That's a lot of afterburner action right there.
That's an F-22. That is America's #1 jet fighter, you guys.
Seriously. But if you are able to watch, oh wow, yeah, we can actually see it from here. If you're able to watch, if you're able to watch this video form on Spotify or YouTube, you'll actually see a demonstration that we're going to be showing later on the proper sitting posture. But we're going to try to talk about it verbally as much as we can. So it's really great that you are actually targeting people who have to sit down for a really long time for different purposes now, aside from somebody being in a wheelchair, right? We're talking about people who sit behind the desk for a really long time. How have you seen that has changed and transformed the lives of people who are using this kind of technology that you've added onto your chairs and different movements that you can have with this chair?
So the biggest transformation that I think we've seen is people that have like pain right now. That I think a really good example is we had the chair at a chiropractor show, the largest chiro show in the nation, and these chiro docs come up and sit on it and go, we don't recommend chairs because we're anti-chair, we're anti-sit.
Yeah.
And this one guy's talking to us for about a half an hour and he goes, I need to come clean and tell you guys something. And I'm a little overwhelmed right now. I have a severely bulging disc right now. And he pulls his phone out and he goes, here's my MRI. And he goes, that's me. That's right now. And I can't sit and I don't sit. I can't sit for more than a couple minutes without being in excruciating pain.
Wow.
And he goes, I'm a little overwhelmed right now. I'm getting a little choked up because I'm sitting down and it's been a half an hour that I've been talking to you guys that I can sit. What is this chair doing to me?
Yeah.
And what's happening is because you're using a chair that allows you to sit upright in like that textbook perfect S curve that every doctor, your chiro, your PTs, your OTs want you to sit like this.
Right.
Textbooks want you to sit like this, but nobody can because it requires too many muscles to do so.
Correct.
And now when this chair can come up and do this and hold you in this neutral spine, it's not pinching, it's not bulging, and it's like instant alleviation to pain.
Yeah.
And that's like overwhelming for some people.
Absolutely. From my own personal experience, as a personal trainer and as a pilot, I constantly try to work on muscles and that will straighten out my posture and stretch the muscles that are supposed to be stretched. Because as we're sitting down, as you know, there's a shortening of the hamstring muscle.
Oh yeah.
All the time, right? And if that starts to shorten, that's going to bring the hips kind of like this.
Yep.
And now you have very tight hamstrings. Your QL and everything is pulling down. Your pelvis is out of place.
Your shoulders are probably internally rotating.
Exactly. So now you start getting into this hunched position, and you sit in these chairs that, they have good support. Sometimes you can adjust the height of the lumbar area where it's supporting you, but you still have to work on different muscles to keep that upright.
Yeah.
And it's always like a battle between what
Time
to stretch,
and fatigue.
what to stretch and what to strengthen. When I sat in your chair, it was the easiest way to sit down and feel relief everywhere, all across my spine.
Yeah.
I could fly for way many more hours just sitting in that position. But without that, it takes so much effort, right?
It does.
And if we don't have those muscles properly strengthened, it's going to be way harder.
Yep.
Yeah. So I really want to see if you can take me through some of the techniques of sitting properly, and also how this chair, how this material, and how this technology allows people to sit with that comfort for a much longer period of time.
With ease is the trick.
Right.
Because everybody thinks you're a wheelchair guy and this medical contraption. This is it's beyond me. I don't know how to do it. I don't know if I'm going to be doing it right.
Yeah.
You guys are going to see sitting well is really easy, and you saw that. I'll go through some technical stuff. Don't get afraid by it. It's really simple in the end.
Right. Yeah. And as the chiropractors and physical therapists and everybody says, stay moving. And I think it's just as important to have good sitting posture as it is moving posture, right? Mm-hmm. Dynamic posture while you're moving has to do with.
Oh, that was a good one.
That was a really good one. Dynamic moving posture has a lot to do with from the first moment you even take a step. Everything from your ankles is a kinetic chain all the way up that you can even feel something by stepping differently all the way up to your neck.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah.
So if we're already experiencing movement, deficiencies as we go, when we sit down, we kind of make those imbalances a whole lot worse. Oh. Right?
Very much so.
But sitting, you can progress from that, right? Like how would you describe that?
I love saying it, but for some people they go, that sounds like Hong Kong Phooey, man. But we really do believe that if you sit right over time, it can literally improve your standing posture.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
But sitting poorly, just like standing poorly, like if you want to stand slouched or leaning on your desk, what's your back going to look like? What are you going to look like? You're never going to stand up straight if you're always like this, even at a standing desk.
Right.
Same thing with sitting. If you sit down and you're just going to sit like this all day long over here on your arm support, you're going to have those muscle imbalances, and when you stand up, it's going to translate to every movement after this. From the step 1 to step 20, by the time you get to the kitchen, still in the same amount of pain.
Exactly.
Muscle imbalance.
Yeah. Well, let's get to it because I really want to sit like how I was sitting before, and you show us how this is done. All right.
Sounds great.
So, Steven, is lumbar support the way to go to have a healthy lower back?
Can I change the word just a little bit?
Yes.
How about instead of lumbar support, lumbar induction?
Okay.
Or how do we get lumbar curvature?
Okay.
And primarily, I would say that the general audience, we're used to just hitting a button on our car seat or turning a knob on our office chair and having something come push out right in the middle of your lumbar.
Right.
And there we go. We have lumbar support, right?
Yeah.
That's one way of doing it, but there's a better way to do it with a better biomechanical advantage. And you just got to understand how the lumbar spine works. Okay. So we got our ribs. Right below our ribs is basically where your lumbar region starts. It goes from here down to your pelvis, or from here down to your pelvis. And there's 5 vertebrae. Here's your pelvis right here. This thing, guys. Here's your pelvis. You've got lumbar 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Number 5 is kind of down here below the top of your pelvis. And it's fused pretty hard with a lot of iliolumbar ligaments. So when your pelvis rotates backwards or you slouch, L5 goes with it. Again, welcome to EAA.
It's good timing. It's great timing.
No, that's right. Hey, man, you're coming from the EAA. We're here talking about jets.
Yeah.
That guy's back hurts, I bet. He's pulling G's in his vertebrae, dying. Yeah. So anyways, the lumbar is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. L5 is down in your pelvis. So when you relax, you have no lumbar curve. When you lift your pelvis up, L5 tells L4, 3, 2, and 1 which direction to go. So instead of a lumbar support pushing on L1 through, we'll call it 4,
yes.
Why not just affect the angle of your pelvis?
Right.
And I can show you that really quickly. You can feel this yourself to know that I'm not lying to you. So I'm just going to sit sideways on the chair. Ready? When I lift my pelvis up, I have lumbar curvature. When I relax it, I don't.
Right, yeah.
And if you're going, yeah, okay, sit relaxed. Try and change your lumbar spine.
It's impossible.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
You have to lift your pelvis up.
Yeah.
So the angle of your pelvis is what determines your lumbar curvature. So why don't we hold the pelvis up instead of pushing on the lumbar spine?
That's magnificent.
That's step 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
You know, I totally feel that because in the airplane seats, I'm able to adjust how much I can push this spring out on this cushion to kind of help with that curvature down here, right? But after some time, I start feeling again this is hard to hold this position. No matter how much I push it, it helps, but it's not like the ultimate solution, I would say.
Because there's a lot of body weight. Your rib cage, your head,
Right.
everything's offset and wants to fall.
Exactly.
And you're just pushing on the spine to try and lift all of that mass up.
Correct. And then with almost every human on earth, everything that we do is in front of us, right?
Yep.
So we are very dominant on this anterior part of our body where everything's going forward. Yeah, it's much easier to have this kind of posture and really work hard to maintain an upright, nice position.
Yeah.
But with what you're about to show me, I think that's going to completely change. So
you're right.
Let's get into what is the material that is in here and what is the functionality of a chair like this. Make it so able to be able to sit comfortably.
All right, so kind of the core ingredients to the chair that make it comfortable and easy to sit are, you have to start by not fidgeting. And what I mean by, we talk about fidgeting, my butt hurts, I sit on the front of the cushion, I sit to the back, I cross a leg, I cross the other leg. We do these things as human beings all day long to avoid sitting pressures. And example, you might sit at home, you might start like this, and then your butt starts to, it's like it heats up, it starts like a stinging pain.
Yeah.
And then you might cross this leg and you relax this butt cheek.
Right.
You don't even realize you're doing it, but you are.
Yeah.
And then you can only do that for so long because now this one's screaming hot, and then you're over here. And then you might cross your legs underneath. And when you do that, that kind of lifts you up and it lightens your butt sitting pressure.
Yes.
And then a lot of people just end up perching, because when you perch on the front of the chair and you leave the backs behind you, your femurs go down like this, and your pelvis comes up, so you're sitting lighter, and you gotta, there's that lumbar curve because your pelvis is up.
Right.
And when you're doing this, try and push your pelvis back. You can't.
Yeah, right.
It's impossible.
Okay.
So these are things that you guys are doing to help yourself sit up or to eliminate sitting pressure. So let's start with the number one ingredient. It's got to be a cushion that you can sit on for a long period of time. And there are two things that affect your pain: pressure, sitting pressure, softness versus hardness, we'll call it. So imagine sitting on a park bench versus sitting on the park bench with a big feather down pillow.
Okay.
Your sitting duration is very different between the two.
Right.
So example, people think mesh chairs are amazing. They're breathable, it's cool. They are, they're cooler than sitting on foam. I'm not gonna debate that, but it's tight like a drum. So when you sit on a mesh chair over time, you're gonna get that sitting pressure. If you sit on a nice foam cushion, most wheelchair cushions are foam or air. Some of them have a little bit of gel in them. So what we do here is we just start with a basic foam cushion, and underneath it, when you look at this cushion right here, this is where you're sitting down, you're putting your butt. These little domes are intentional and have been engineered such that when you sit down on it, your butt bones that you guys feel when you're sitting on the bleacher seat, they go over these domes, and as you sit down, they collapse.
Wow, look at that.
Making a really soft pressure.
All the way out here.
Yeah, I'll do it again.
Look at that. Wow. Yeah.
And you lean to the right, you lean to the left, you can see what's happening. And then what's happening is you're sinking in, and then your butt kind of contours everywhere else, and you're getting a nice contact. You said sometimes when you're flying, your feet go really high.
Yeah.
And the front edge of the seat can come up.
Yeah.
That's really important.
Right.
Whether it's you're flying a plane or you're sitting on an office chair, you should definitely make sure that this isn't happening.
Right.
You don't want this, because that's concentrating that sitting pressure
Correct.
to such a little area.
Yeah.
And your time of comfort's going to go straight down.
Yeah.
So getting the seat height right, or in your case, you can lift the front edge of that flight seat up, you said.
Right. Well, it does two things. One, we want to avoid kind of putting too much pressure on the piriformis, right? That little tiny muscle that's in your butt that starts, when you sit on that park bench, that's the thing that starts hurting.
It starts screaming.
And it's such a small muscle that can create so many complexities in your area.
Yep. And then the next thing of pain that you can address after pressure, so it's a soft cushion with something that lets your sit bones go down into it. And the next thing is called shear. And shear is, if I could use your arm, for everybody to understand, this is pressure. When I squeeze something, shear is when I give a snake bite.
Oh, yeah.
That hurts quickly, doesn't it?
Way faster, yeah.
And that's the same as when you sit down on something and you slide, or you're slouching. That tugging sensation on your skin is the same as a snake bite.
Yeah.
And it causes discomfort as well. So how do you address that? we've got 3 layers of fabric on this, which you felt earlier.
Yeah.
And when you push down into it and then swoosh around, I mean, it's like gel.
Yeah.
It's so slippery.
Yeah, that's
And if you try and do the
comfortable.
same up top where we didn't do it, you just push in and nothing happens.
Okay. Yeah.
You can feel the difference.
Yeah.
So
you, have
you
more
sit down,
movement.
you get pressure relieving, and then if you're leaning back, you get a little shear. The cover moves. It doesn't tug on your skin.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so the cushion's absorbing the pain for you.
Those are the little things that can cause irritation.
Oh, it is a little.
You're already
thing.
getting a little pain, and then your skin kind of moves a little bit,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Oh, I'm done with this."
Yeah, it's be like put your elbow on something and then move your elbow over.
Yes.
Which one is going to hurt first?
Right, exactly.
When you're under pressure and you moved it a little.
Yeah.
Same concept.
Right.
So
And this material here is more to not let you move as freely as here.
correct. This
Okay.
is I want to hold your upper thoracic region. I want to
Okay.
get you there, and I don't want you to fall to the left or to the right. So if I put this
Nice.
up here, you
You'd be
might have that
slipping.
muscle imbalance thing. You might be leaning to the left or the right too
okay.
much. So I
Okay.
want grip here.
Yeah. Right on. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
So after that, now that we've got you sitting down, there's no pressure, there's no shear, you're not going to fidget. Most people, when they sit on this, they go, oh my God, it feels like I'm sitting on a cloud. It's like, well, it's a very high performing cushion. This is like medical grade
Yeah.
comfort right here.
Yeah.
And then after that, now we got to address that pelvis angle. So remember when you relax, you
Yes.
have no lumbar support or
Mhm.
lumbar curve. When we lift it up, you do. So what we ask people to do is, should we show
Oh,
you?
absolutely.
Yeah, let's do this. We'll turn it sideways. We'll do a live fitting.
Okay.
So we take the backs all the way back,
Okay.
sit on the cushion, get comfortable.
Here we go.
How's the height? Good enough? Or up a little?
Maybe up a little bit.
Okay, let's go up.
Okay.
There we go.
Yeah, that's
So-
good. Oh wow. This already feels
Perfect.
really-
He got into the chair just like everybody else does. We get in and we just fall back into what's there.
Yeah.
This chair, you have an opportunity to do one thing differently. It's find your best posture. So don't use our backs and sit up your best. Give me your best posture right there. Yep.
Yep.
He lifted his pelvis up and he got that nice lumbar curve. But you're using a lot of back, I can feel them.
Oh, you can
They're,
feel, yeah.
they're on right now.
Oh,
these,
yeah.
these muscles are on and so are your abdomen. They're rock hard right now. You need front and back muscles to sit up. So when your doctor or your therapist or your chiro goes, you need to sit up straight, it's like, for how long? Because I can do it for about 5 minutes. How about you? Why don't you do it for all day, doc? You know? So I'm not pointing fingers, but it's
Right.
really hard to sit up.
Exactly. It's
So-
hard to maintain this posture.
So the
for a
chair
long
is
time.
just comes in to act like a kickstand to help you. So
Okay.
this comes in, you rotate this knob and it brings this back forwards.
Wow.
Tell me when there's enough support.
Right there.
There you go. And you can kind of relax
I
now.
can already feel like my hip is just
Yeah, so these muscles that I was just poking, oh,
You
look
feel-
at that.
you
They're
feel
gooey.
it.
They're gooey now.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
And if I turn this backwards and you follow it, your postures, your chest will fall.
I already
It's
feel it.
really quick.
Yep,
It happens really fast. So
Yeah.
literally the difference between a collapsed posture and sitting upright is like a couple degrees.
Yes, of course.
It was really close, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
turn
yeah.
it back up. Say when?
A little bit more. Right there.
Okay. We are not pushing directly on his lumbar spine. We're at the top of his pelvis. And then
Yeah.
next would be moving this back, and this back has a pivot point to come in and kind of match where he's balancing in space. So I'm going to turn this forwards. And it's touching you. Now you can lean into it if you'd like to relax. And I can move it backwards or
Oh.
forwards. What would you like?
Forward. Forward is better.
Say when.
That's good right there.
Okay. And then the last step would be your arm support. So if you want to get those adjusted for you, there's a little
Yeah.
lever right here for
Okay.
height. You can move them around.
Yeah, I think that's good. I like to put mine at the bottom here so I can have a more neutral thoracic spine.
Yeah, so he's sitting upright, and it's really easy for him to do. What he can also do, because this back has got this nice trapezoidal thing, it's not like a full frame back. You know the big old leather chairs?
Yeah, yeah.
Or a mesh chair where they're a little wider on you?
Mhm.
Those are almost always curved this way, right?
Oh.
And when they're curved,
They
they
push me.
cause their automatic internal rotation. And if
Yeah.
you want to try and retract your shoulders and stretch this and help work on your posture,
Yeah.
you can't, because this starts hitting the frame of the chair.
Correct. Yes.
Or you retract your elbows and you'd be hitting the frame of the chair.
Mm-hmm.
So having this tiny back is what allows you to come around it. And
Wow,
take a look at
yeah.
this.
Yeah, I can come all the way back if I wanted to.
Absolutely. So you can stretch out in the chair instead of the chair forcing you into the opposite thing of what we want to happen.
Yeah. Wow, it's amazing.
Yeah. So we'll come around to the front. Look at that. Now you look like
I
you're
can fly
you
like
look
this
like
all day.
you look like you're trying like very militant posture, but
Yeah.
how easy is it?
Oh,
to
it's,
sit like this?
it's effortless. It's amazing.
And it's only because your pelvis is held.
Exactly. The most impressive thing is that when I get a lot of like tightness and I get the lumbar support from these other chairs, I still feel that there's tightness right above the pelvis, like right above the hip. This is hitting exactly where that pain, I feel it, and as soon as it puts the pelvis in position, it's gone.
Because there's a muscle firing.
Exactly.
Now it's off.
And now my back muscles, as you pointed out, they're relaxed. I
Yeah.
haven't felt them relaxed in a really long time.
Yeah.
So this is awesome.
The last step for him or for anybody that would be sitting right now in the chair would be the stomach muscles. Like your rib cage is up front here, your head's up here, and your spine is back here. So if you fell asleep, you would your head would fall forwards,
Right.
your chest would fall forward.
Right.
So you got to turn these on yet,
Yep.
and these on to
Yep.
hold yourself up. So
Right.
one way to turn off a few more muscles now is with a little bit of tilt. Oh, we got a tilt lock on.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna turn the tension down, maybe
Oh wow.
maybe about there.
Oh, that's.
So as soon as he tilts backwards, now gravity's kind of pushing you,
Yeah.
and these get to go off.
Yeah. It's.
They're off.
Yeah.
They're-
Wow. And I feel like it's even less of an effort to sit, feel good here, feel good in my back.
It only takes a couple degrees, like
Yeah.
3 to 6 degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is why tilt's really important for the human body. One thing that we did on this chair is from the wheelchair industry, there's a lot of evidence that shows we have a lot of tilt in space chairs, both manual and power chairs tilt.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's for feeding, but a lot of it's for comfort.
Right.
And the white papers suggest that anything over 15 degrees is when those positive benefits come for blood flow, pressure, shear,
Wow.
a sensation. So this chair goes back 16 degrees. So go
Ah.
all the way back. And
Oh,
it's just
wow.
a state of relaxation.
Yes.
And what happened? Do you notice how your shoulders came back a little
Yeah,
bit?
yeah.
That's kind of gravity helping you all of
course,
a sudden.
of
Now
course.
you're not using your muscles to do this. You're just letting Mother Nature help you for once
Right.
instead of picture it. When you sit and you try and relax, gravity is literally kicking your butt all day long.
Yeah.
Your head's heavy. Your
It's a
stomach's
vector,
heavy.
yeah.
It's pushing you down.
Yeah.
So you're using this fighting gravity all day long.
Right.
All of a sudden, gravity just became your friend.
It's all about the angles.
It
It's
is.
really, you know, I got to say something that I noticed right now as you were doing this. A lot of chairs, and especially aviation chairs, when we go to recline back, I'm noticing that this cushion here also changes its angle as the top does, where
They go together.
a lot of chairs is just the back.
Yep.
So you're still at a weird angle where it's creating even more pressure here, and you're still tight here.
And it does one more thing.
What does it do?
When you open up the so what he's talking about is the cushion and the back.
Right.
If you go up and down a few times from the side view, so they can see that
Yeah.
they follow each other. They're
Right.
going like this. The back and the cushion
Right.
go like this.
This and this.
Some chairs do this, and
right.
with maybe a little bit of this. And when you open up the back angle, gravity is not your friend, and it makes you slide out.
Yeah.
So when you're sitting on these chairs, you can only sit on this so long, and all of a sudden you're down here.
Right.
Or the airport lounge chairs.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Sitting like this,
Yeah.
and everybody's like this
Yeah.
because the back angle is too open.
Right.
When you
right.
sit upright and we sit you here, gravity mashes you down.
Right.
When we tilt you backwards a little bit, gravity pins you right there with
the S.
the S curve.
Yeah. Wow.
And now,
That's
that was a lot of explanation. That's that technical side of things,
right.
guys.
Right.
I don't want to freak you out here. Sitting is really simple when you have a tool that's just, let's get real. You sit down in the chair, you adjust the height, you sit up, you bring the lower pelvis support up, you neutralize your pelvis, you bring the upper back up, you quickly find your balance point, and then we just tilted you backwards.
Yeah.
Ta-da!
Boom. That's it. It's not that hard. Honestly,
It's really easy.
you know, I really am hoping, and I'm really looking forward if there could be some sort of adaptable method to doing this for us in the airplane or for cabin crew for their jump seats as well.
Yeah.
But
You and I talked a little bit about this.
Yes,
We would love
yes.
to try and learn more about that, like
Right.
learn that environment. And
Yeah.
I'm positive. I'm very positive. There's some simple stuff that could be done to drastically change the level of comfort for flight crews.
Right.
Drastically.
You mentioned that you use something when you travel that is mainly air rather than foam.
Yeah.
Why is it that you use air rather than foam for your better posture?
There's a magic word in there. You said traveling. So if I take this big foam, how about this? This is an amazing cushion, but looks a little weird walking down the middle of the aisle with it. But I use an air cushion, and it's an inflatable air cushion because you can inflate it or deflate it and roll it up.
Okay.
And make it smaller, like a camping cot. If you guys have seen those at Gander Mountain or whatever.
Okay.
Cabela's, the roll-up folding ones. You turn a little valve and it inflates a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how comfortable that little air pad can be. Same concept. I've got a little air cushion that I made.
Okay.
And I sit on that. I travel with it, and those layers of slipperiness that are in here that we were talking about, those are on that cushion as well. So I'm addressing pressure and shear with a very easy transportable cushion.
So your displacement of weight is a lot better in air rather than foam.
Yeah, air is air just it matches your weight.
It molds.
It molds you. It
better.
matches your weight.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
If you sat on a 2-inch piece of foam versus a 2-inch piece of air, how firm is the foam? How soft is the foam? If it was too soft, you'd bottom out and it wouldn't feel any better. If it was too hard, it would feel as hard as a park bench. And air, it only knows one thing: constant pressure back on your body.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. I really hope that we can literally be able to use some of this stuff, and I'm sure you will create an amazing way to, one, travel with it and not take too much space on your bag, but more importantly, too, so that we can have good feeling, spine and pelvis posture throughout however long we're flying, whether it be 30-minute flight, because there are those, and to 17-hour flights that there are those too. So the whole point is the same mission as you did with wheelchairs, and now with office chairs, also with chairs in the flight deck or in the cabin, with something that's adjustable and very easy to take. And I'd love to start being able to use that and just ease my way through that pain a lot more comfortably.
Yeah, we'd love to be there. We want Anthros to be kind of synonymous with comfort. When you think of the highest, we haven't done it yet, but if Anthros technology, some of these basic principles could be woven into someday a Boeing seat or someday an Airbus seat.
Oh, wow.
And it could have a little woven tag, and it's still Boeing seat, but it's got a little Anthros technology in there.
Yes, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
There's no better feeling, man, than being a contributing factor to somebody's well-being, right? That's part of the mission at Anthros.
It is.
That's the mission of Fate Aviators Club, and the people that I network and connect with, we share that similar passion, which is really great to be here having a conversation with you about how to help people with their sitting.
I know it's everybody's like, sitting. Who can get excited about sitting?
I know.
How many people are in pain?
Oh,
like you
so
said,
many.
whether it's the airplane, whether it's the flight crew, whether it's us on the plane as the passengers, or the pain and discomfort that the lounge chairs create, or your office chair.
Right.
It all equates to human discomfort, and we just want to try and take some of that away. How much can we help with?
Yeah, that's fantastic. Steven, thank you so much for your time. I really learned a lot. I'm sure all the listeners are going to learn a ton about you, man, and a ton about the Anthros team and what it stands for. You can check out Anthros at Anthros Chair on Instagram, or also go to anthros.com and check out what they have for the sitting chairs. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode from EAA AirVenture Oshkosh 2023. We'll see you soon.